bring in Gene Marks, a certified public accountant, expert on small business, and president of the Marks Group. Gene, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Just what's your sense as we head into next year? Are those folks going to be happier a year from now, or what's ahead for us here in the U.S.?
Yeah, sure, Rich. It's going to be a tough 2023, both for us as individuals and for many businesses of all sizes. Inflation right now is still between 7 and 8%. And that's the consumer price index, Rich. What we advise our clients and what I'm advising you and all of your viewers, you really want to pay attention to the producer price index, because that's like the leading indicator of where prices are, how prices are going to rise in the future. That's the cost of manufacturers making stuff right now. And prices are still 7 to 8% ahead of where they were a year ago, even from the producer level. And a lot of the core materials that go into the products that we buy, roofing products, building materials, industrial chemicals, steel piping, those are actually still at double-digit levels from where we were a year ago. And what that means is, as that filters into the economy over the next 3, 4, 5 months, we're still going to be seeing inflation at the levels that we're seeing right now until hopefully things start receding a little bit more.
So you're talking about inflation at 7, 8%. Remember, we're talking about a year ago. Do you see those numbers at all midway through next year coming down at all? Or are we now at a new level and it just kind of runs along at that level moving forward?
Yeah. I'm actually optimistic that as we start heading into later of 2023, we will see those numbers come down. I don't think we're going to be back to that 2% level that we have been seeing over the past decade. But a lot of the supply chain issues that we read, remember a year ago, there were all the big backlogs at the ports and, people running around trying to get inventory. A lot of those have been resolved. The Federal Reserve is taking some pretty aggressive steps by raising interest rates, which could be recessionary, but at the same time, those are the steps that are needed to take to rein in all of that government spending that happened. I think that's good news in the end, and I think we will start seeing a decrease in inflation as we head further into 2023. But all of us still have to be prepared to deal with higher prices for most of next year.
How about interest rates? The Fed was trying to do what they call as a soft landing, try to slow the economy enough to have not a very deep recession, but to slow these increasing prices down. Do you think that the pace and size of interest rates increases have been appropriate? And do you think the Fed can eventually start to pull back after next year?
Yeah, first of all, I got to tell you, I think interest rates is going to be the big story of 2023, not just for consumers that are with credit card debt and getting mortgages, but for my clients, many of them are small businesses. Right now, they are seeing double-digit rates of interest for commercial loans, working capital lines of credit. That is really going to start taking an effect. It not only impacts businesses buying and growing, but it has a huge impact on getting funding for startups and new businesses because banks start to, contract. We're going to continue to see those higher level of interest rates throughout most of 2023 for two reasons. Fed Chairman Powell is pretty much determined to use interest rates to bring down inflation, and he knows he's risking a recession, but that's something I think that he's willing to do. And number two is that it's going to take a while once you get interest rates up to the level that you're at to then tailor them back again. So again, in 2023, we're going to be looking at higher prices and high rates of interest, and that is going to be a big challenge for all of us.
If you look at where interest rates were before the financial crisis, really, people were paying 6% for a mortgage. We're approaching that. Is that the normal that we're reverting to, or do you think at some point people will be able to get mortgages that are back to what we've been used to over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, mortgage rates were so extraordinarily low over the past decade for many reasons. The 4 to 6% range is the range that you really want to be targeting for mortgages right now. Mortgage rates have actually come down closer to 6%. They were playing around with 7% levels just a few weeks ago. But again, the Fed is not done with their interest rate increases, their increase to their federal funds rate, which means that banks are likely to charge more for mortgages in the months to come. Yeah, but bear in mind, I don't want to be all the bearer of bad news. When we're at a 6, 7, 8% rate of interest for a mortgage or an inflation rate, it's not catastrophic. I'm old enough to remember the late 70s and early 80s when it was a lot higher than that. So I think this is something that, businesses in the economy will deal with. I think we as individuals will navigate around these challenges, but they will be challenges over the next 6 to 9 months.
Yeah, luckily no 18% interest rates on mortgages these days. G. Marks, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. Very much appreciated.
Thanks, Rich. Have a great Christmas.